26 Melbourne Terrafly runway heading, runway 5. Clear for takeoff.
From Psychic Sundays to E.T. Contact and everything in between, this is Spaced Out Sunday's Cosmic Passport with host Elizabeth Anglin.
Check it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Having great show, guys. Smoke now.
You can connect with Elizabeth on Skype at 505-908-9558 and Spirit for Peace. Follow Liz on Twitter at Elizabeth Anglin and hashtag SpacedOutRadio. And you can connect with us on the web at spacedoutradio.com.
I feel the need for speed.
You feel it over and over again. We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
Chills, real now. Smoke off now.
This is the love we live again.
Chills, ready on now.
Letting go the heart will
Contact. Easing up. Chills, real now.
just look inside and feel it over and over
Real now. One left.
We take you.
Don't look much like Los Angeles to me. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Now taking you on a spiritual journey from the desert of New Mexico this Sunday night, here's Spaced Out Sunday's Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Chills, ready to take it class. Contact. Chills, turn now. Smoke off now. Chills, ready to take away tries. Speak now. Chills, turn now.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport and Psychic Sunday. It's not Psychic Sunday, but we have some really great spiritual healers on tonight. I am your host, Elizabeth Anglin. We're coming to you live from the Spaced Out Radio Cosmic Cruise Mobile. That Cosmic Cruise Mobile is in Madrid, New Mexico, as we are going to call it tonight. And it's windy here, and the juniper pollen is out, so I hope that you, wherever you are having wonderful weather and not a lot of juniper pollen. If you are listening at WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, I want to welcome you here at spacedoutradio.com on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network. Thank you for being here, and on the Fringe.fm. Hey, thanks for listening to us tonight. I also want to give thanks to our music provider, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy, for creating the music that helps us rock it out at Spaced Out Radio. Thank you, Ron. We couldn't do it without you. If you are on Twitter, check us out at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. You can also tune us in on TuneIn, download our shows from iTunes. We're also on radioguide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. If you go to patreon.com, we have some cool offers for you, our listeners, there as well. Make sure you check those out, and if you want to take part in the show tonight, and we will have things for you to take part in. We're going to be doing energy clearings with Paul Simons in the second 2 hours, and Lilly Whiteswan, who's up next, is a wonderful spiritual healer. Please go into the chat room. I will look for your questions in all caps there. The chat room you will find on spacedoutradio.com. but you'll have to sign in order to take part. Also, if you are a space traveler, please go to the SOR Space Travelers Club chat room. I will look for you there as well. If you're online, you're on spacedoutradio.com. Please check out our news section, The Encounter, that deals with everything paranormal. You can also check out Dave Scott's latest blog there as well. And we've got some really super cool videos from UFO seekers and the amazing Tim Doyle. So don't be shy. Go to spacedoutradio.com and check everything out. Also, if you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researchers are ready to help you find out what's going on, and they will keep it completely confidential. Again, a big thanks to everyone listening on WQEE 99 Rock the Key, the Spaced Out Radio family way down in Noonan, Georgia. Thanks so much for sharing your nights with us. Everybody on UPRN and everyone listening from around the world, thank you so much. Fringe.fm folks, you guys are the best. We're here tonight with Lilly Whiteswan, who lives in my hometown of Madrid, New Mexico, which I have been saying incorrectly. Lilly, I would call you a spiritual healer, but how do you describe what you do?
Well, I am is what's called curandera, and which is Spanish for healer. And I've been a curandera for about 35 years now.
Wow. Did you pick this up over time, or was this something that you learned specifically at some point, or some combination of both? Or how did this happen for you?
I started out by working on my dad, who had broken his back when he was a young boy. And he taught me how to walk on his back and how to feel for certain things that were going on with his back, and if a rib was out, I could pop it back in for him, and so my dad basically got me started on that type of healing path. I didn't do anything for quite a few years. I worked on other things. I was part of a witches' coven for quite a while, and worked on that, and then started spiritual healing when I was with a group of women at Shiprock, and they taught me about different herbs at that spiritual healing place, and got me interested. And then I went on to massage school, and that's where I decided that I'd be a curandera at massage school.
So, what's interesting to me is I just met you recently, but I was going around town, and people were saying to me, I used to have this problem, but then Lilly Whiteswan fixed me. And I went, wow, she must be good. You know?
Well, I definitely understand the body and the muscles and what's going on with the body. So it makes it easier to heal people when you understand the body.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful to hear those stories, to come someplace and hear people say, I had this going on and I went to Lilly. And even addictions, you work with people with addictions as well, correct?
Well, I work with whatever is going on in the life of the person at that time. Mm-hmm. And I do work with addictions, yes.
Mm-hmm. We've heard wonderful things about that. So tonight we're talking about the ghost of Madrid that I've seen some. I've seen my first fully physicalized ghost here. I've never really seen a fully physicalized ghost before. So it's been interesting to see somebody walking down the street who disappeared. But you were here back in the 70s when people started moving back into town. can you tell me what that was like in terms of the ghosts in the town and what you did and who helped?
Well, now we have to explain Madrid a little because it was a ghost town that was owned by was a coal mining town, and it was so. Just being a coal mining town, then you know that there were a lot of coal mining accidents and a lot of people that lost their lives quite quickly. You know, sometimes even to the point where even after those many years, they hadn't realized that they had died. You know. And because in a lot of ways in that spirit world, everyone keeps working, or you know, there's not really any difference to them. And so when I moved here in 1973, I too had never experienced anything totally paranormal, and so I was in my house, and it was a ghost town. When I moved in, there were 15 people living in the town, and 8 people moved out immediately, and they had bought a motel in Moriarty, which is not far from here, and they all moved out. So it was basically just me and a few people in the town. But I met a lady one day, and she asked me which house I was living in, and I said, the first house as you come into town. And she said, oh, I lived in that house. She said, please make sure you don't argue with your husband in that house.
Wow.
And I didn't understand her at all, you know, and I moved into the house, and the first thing that happened was that I had some glasses on the counter, and all of a sudden they were just thrown to the floor. And I had never experienced that before, and there was no way that they could have just fallen off because they were in the middle of the counter like we always put glasses and stuff. But they all ended up crashed onto the floor, and so that was my first time. And then a few months later, my husband at the time and I were in the bathroom, and I was taking a bath, and he was standing over me, and we were arguing to beat the band. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And all of a sudden, this huge cold wind went storming through the bathroom and around the bathroom and out again, and kind of like made us really cold. It was the coldest wind I'd ever seen and felt in my life, and we immediately stopped fighting, of course, and realized what this lady had told us, that the house did not like people to fight in it. And so that was basically my first experience in the paranormal world of Madrid. And then all of a sudden I started noticing different things, like all of a sudden I could hear the school bell from the empty school across the street going off, and you could hear the children running outside of the schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. And so I just started noticing a lot of things going on in the town that I hadn't, and I realized that I had to open myself up for things like that to happen in the town. And so as people started moving in, some people moved into what we call the boardwalk, which is some buildings that are now studios. And they spent the night, and all of a sudden one of the women woke up screaming, and she felt like something was holding her down, and she couldn't move and couldn't get up. And so that's when one of the people who had dealt with spirits before said, you know, I'm starting to feel all of the spirits here, and they're all very angry.
Mm.
And so we realized that we were going to have to do something in order to, if we were all going to live together, we were going to have to do something that could placate the spirits or understand why they were angry or whatever it was that we could do. So that's when we started opening ourselves up even more, which is not good to do, you know, with angry spirits.
Yeah, so you opened up even more, but you did it to make a connection, right? You didn't do it,
Yeah.
you know, you wanted to accomplish something out of it. When you did that, what happened?
Well, we have this place in where you are right now, which is the old mining museum.
I'm in the museum?
Yes.
I did not know that. Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, you're in the old mining museum, and you were in building was called Building 4.
Okay.
And Building 4 is where one time with a group of people who had you know the different machines for you know paranormal machines, the you know electromagnetic censoring and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the biggest hits. Was right there in that building that you're in right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so late at night. That's why I was so wondering, you know, when you said 10 and I thought it was in the morning and you said night and I'm looking at you, did you see that I gave you kind of a almost scared look?
You gave me a look and I was like, but then you just said okay, because I was like, you know, it might be too late for her, and I'll understand. I've only talked to one ghost in this house, and it was to ask him kindly to leave, and he kindly said he would. That's the only time I've really felt anything in here, and it was I think it was the guy with the derby Jim. And
Derby Jim, an old friend of mine.
Yeah, and I thought he was very nice, and people said, oh no, he was a bad guy, and I said he was a gentleman. I mean, I said, look, I'm a single woman, and I'm here alone, and I really don't want you looking in the shower, and it's kind of weird, you know, it'd be weird, the two of us being here together, you know, me a single woman, you a single guy, kind of, I don't think I want to do it. And he said, that's okay, I'll go down by the mine shaft, I know a lot of people down there, I'll go hang out down there. And I said, okay, and he went. But he seemed very gentle to me. And he had a beard. Did he? Yeah,
he was a very gentle man.
Yeah.
Not angry.
No. And I told some people this, and they said, oh, he wasn't a good guy. And I said, he seemed very gentle to me. You know, his energy was very gentle, and he didn't argue at all, and he said, no, I understand.
I delivered his daughter.
Oh.
Derby Jim's daughter. My first delivery ever. And I had to read from the book because I had my children cesarean, so I didn't know anything about delivering babies.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so we have different types of ghosts in Madrid that we've worked on. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend Tina DeBon, who we call the Dragon Lady, she and I worked for many years on trying to calm the spirits down that were angry, and by just really and truly being positive, around the forces and working on they're right in front of what we call our bar was a mine shaft, and in that mine shaft one night was all of the gentlemen from the Chinese community that worked in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And one night that mine shaft totally collapsed and ended up killing all of those Chinese miners.
Oh, wow.
And so we would go to that point where the Chinese miners were, and put our hands onto the ground and try and send them the most positive thoughts that we could, and try to work on helping them make their way into the next life, But that was part of the community that I was telling you that in one way didn't realize that they had died.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another incident before Madrid became a mining town. There was an Indian revolt.
Mm-hmm.
And right above Madrid was not the church that we have here, because that was later, but there was a Catholic church above Madrid. And that was one of the first places that the Indians went to when they started revolting. Mm-hmm. They went to Santa Fe, but they also came up here, and all of the people that had been in the church ran out of the church, of course, running, and ran frantically away, and some of them managed to escape, but others, of course, didn't. But down one of the arroyos that come into town from that church, people fled in total fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they did that, though, then they created a fear in the arroyo. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, the energy of that intense fear, that you're afraid for your life. So it's an incredibly intense fear. Yeah, I see that.
Right.
That makes sense.
So they created that fear, and so when people were around that area and stuff, they would go into almost a high anxiety. You know what I mean? And not understand why they were feeling that anxiety. And it was that fear that had been created by those people. And so we started, when we realized what was going on, because it would flood into town. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That anxiety and that fear, and people would be going, whoa, I've been feeling so anxious, and I don't know what's going on, And so when we realized that was going on, then and where it was coming from, then we started going and to that area, and I started sending up the violet purple flame, mm-hmm. because we weren't dealing with ghosts, we were dealing with an emotion.
Right.
So, and I work with, in everything that I do, I work with the violet purple flame. So we would go and stand at the head of that arroyo and send the violet purple flame up the arroyo.
Oh, wow. And you just cleared it out. 'Cause it doesn't,
and cleared it out.
Yeah, I go walking, on the above the arroyo with Wyatt, and I never felt anything untoward in the arroyo. So it worked. Wow.
Oh yes, it worked quite well. was very happy to start when that started feeling easier, you know.
Wow. When I kind of want to move to present day, but I don't know if that's too sensitive. I've had people talking to me about the different things that have been happening. We've had some strange accidents, like there was the cement truck accident, or the whatever was in that truck accident last year. And do you think the energy needs work again, or do you think something else is going on? What's your take on some of the things that have been happening?
Well, I do think that there needs to be some energy work again. In a lot of ways, I think there needs to be an exorcism at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
We, talking about Derby Jim, we've recently, within the last couple of years, have had some people that used to live in Madrid that were 10 times worse than Derby Jim ever could be.
Mm-hmm.
And they have died, and they have gone, and that's where they're in the bar there.
Mm-hmm. And in the parking lot.
Well,
Yeah.
there too, they've kind of taken over a lot of different space, but where they stay is behind the men's room there, where it's dark in that area, where the office is.
Mm-hmm.
They stay there, and what they do is that they attack women.
Oh.
And put women in pain. I've now had at least 12 women come to me that have been attacked by them and caused them to go into pain. And I always say, when a doctor can't heal the pain, then it's something else.
Right.
See what I mean? And so they come, and I work on pulling out the things that these men have thrown into their bodies. And so I think that there should be an exorcism in the bar and get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
have you talked to the people at the bar? Is there any resistance to this, or is it just a matter of getting the right people together?
I think it's well, first of all, the first thing is that we can't, in one way, really talk about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you talk about it, then, and especially if you're talking about it there, then they're listening to you.
Well, it was funny because last night I was going to the, Sage was taking me to the bar to have a meal, and as I was walking, I kept hearing, "Don't go to the bar, don't go to the bar, don't go to the bar." And I just started clearing the space in front of me. I was like, well, I'm going to clear the bar, and then I'm going to go to the bar. And I didn't get attacked or anything. I think I sort of cow-catchered around myself. And I got to see you and get your phone number, which was good. But I really had this aversion, like, as I got to the boardwalk, which was, don't go to the bar, don't go to the bar, don't go to the bar. And I sort of cow-catchered it and then walked through it, because Sage really wanted to go and have a meal. And I didn't want to, like, turn around and run and be one of those flaky spiritualists, Sorry, I love you, but I just can't,
I
stick
just can't.
with it.
Well, it really has kept me from going to the bar quite a lot, because I just don't want to have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
And they especially did not like me, so it's I've been attacked a lot.
Right. Yeah, because you would represent something else. Oh, so we're going to have to plan this outside the barn and then go in
Yeah, go in and do it.
And just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I heard a story. I have a couple of things that I've heard a story. I didn't hear about the Chinese guys in the mine shaft. That's where our bar is. For all of you who are going, okay, we don't know where any of this is. Our lovely bar, which we do a lot of music and fun things at, is where the mine shaft was, where the Chinese men were. But Dan told me that during the Indian Revolt, there were people who were like the Hispanics were thrown into the mine and then sealed up. Did you ever hear anything about that?
Oh, I don't think I did.
Yeah, he said that he thought there were still wounds from when the revolt happened, and some of the people who didn't manage to make it down the arroyo actually got thrown into the mines where they were having Indians mine for them, and the mine overmasters were thrown into their own mines, and it was sealed up. And he said there's a big rift because of that. That's even before what happened with the Chinese men who were, in that mine shaft that collapsed. This was an actual sealing in of the Hispanics who were the overlords.
I'm sure that something like that probably happened because there was a great anger.
Yeah, that's what
at that time.
And he said that there was that there are these pockets that if you go past some of these different mines, you'll walk into a pocket of where the people who were sealed in had, their fear, their frustration, and their anger and their rage, and that some of these pockets were still happening. And if you didn't know where the mine was, you'd walk through it, and you didn't know what you walked through. And you'd feel weird afterward.
Right. Yes, it really is all a part of that that time, that revolt. Yeah, was really more of an emotion. Like I said, more of an emotional type of leaving.
Yeah, leaving.
Than a
haunting. Yeah, it's like you've
Yeah.
That revolt left the emotions and the anger, frustration, rage. We're not taking it anymore.
Right.
Right.
Very good. That's right.
So the one physicalized ghost that I saw walking toward my house when I was going to my truck. And it's interesting you said this was the machine shop, building for the machine shop, because he was wearing a mechanic's suit. He was wearing like the blue Dickies mechanics jumpsuit that zips in the front. And he was very tall, and he was very good looking for somebody who was about 6'4", but I didn't recognize him. He had dark brown hair, and it was a little wavy curly, and he's wearing this suit. And he's walking toward me as I'm going to my truck, so I'm sort of faced north, the north way out of town, and he's coming south. And as I was getting in my truck, I thought, well, I'm going to look for him because I don't recognize him. When he passes behind, I'm going to look in my mirror and see who that is because I don't recognize that person. And he sort of walked with his head, like his neck was loose and he was looking down. So he wasn't stooped so much as he was bent at the neck and his head was sort of flopping from side to side. And he never walked behind my truck. Like, he was completely physical, and I was like, who are you? I don't know you. And then I get in my truck, and I look in the mirror so I can, check him out again. He never walked behind my truck, and so I backed up, and there was nobody on the street. And I've never seen him in town. Do you think that was somebody from the early 1900s? Or he looked like he actually could have been in the 30s or the 40s, because of the way the suit was. It did have a zipper and whatnot. I'm not sure if they had zippers when the zippers came around, but or do you think I'm just crazy?
Oh, I don't think you're crazy at all.
Okay.
I think you saw what you saw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, in a lot of ways, people are still going to work and
Right.
still working the mines. You know, because of the way the way we're learning about time now.
Uh-huh.
You know that time is all the same and everything, and that nothing has really changed. That things are still going on that went on before. So, you know, we're just in a lot of ways living on the same timeline.
Right.
And so, basically, what you saw through was a timeline.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because he was completely physical. You know, he was as real as if I had seen you, and you know, we had looked at each other, and I had never experienced that before. Do you think that there is a thinner veil here, or a thinner timeline veil here, or what do you, or is it just the things that happened here that make the ghosts seem so present?
Well, I do think that there's a thinner timeline because so many people have worked on the town spiritually.
Okay.
And so that kind of thins out the timeline because so many people are open to it.
Okay. So there's more energy going. There's more of the now versus the hard and solid, significant, and real linear. We're sort of doing the spiritual now and not so much the linear, like somebody in New York or somewhere else, where it's, you know, linear,
right.
Physical is really, really happening there quickly and with a lot of force. And here it's sort of like, mañana. Okay.
Yeah, mañana. Which is a definite New Mexico thing, mañana.
Yeah. God willing, mañana, you know. It's like if it works out, we're not pushing it. But it does. Have you lived many other places or visited?
I've lived a lot of other places, but I always come back here. It's always that's why I call it Madrid, because it's my ma. It's whenever I feel like I am need to be loved and hugged and stuff. When I was living in Phoenix, you know, I drive home so that I could love the people I was with. So I think Madrid's become a very loving town because of all that's happened here. And it becomes more loving when something new happens, you know, and we've been having a lot of things happening in town, a lot of friends leaving this timeline, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is forcing us to make connections with each other. Those of us who are still here, I tend to sort of stay on the sidelines because I was a hermit on a mountain for 7 years, and you know, and I dealt with animals and people on the phone, and now, you know, Yo went, and my friend Sage was very sad, and my friend Melanie was very sad, and so I went to my first memorial service, but I also connected with Yo. I hadn't really known him, and I connected with him after he passed. And he said, and it was before the memorial, and he said, "Yeah, I'm up here. I'm waiting for my party." And I was like,
oh, very good.
And I told Sage and Melanie, I said, "Oh, he's fine. He's just waiting for his party. We got to go," you know, because he wants a lot of people to be there. So I didn't know him before. I hadn't met him, and then Michael came just after he passed, and I was in the bathroom. And I hadn't really ever talked to him. I'd seen him at the holler, and I'm in the bathroom, and he's talking at me, and I'm like, okay, Michael, okay. But I got to know him in a way that maybe I wouldn't have, just a very calm guy, and sometimes when I'd see him out, he wouldn't necessarily look that way, but he was actually very calm. He's pretty all right. So I don't know. And then they're actually causing me to meet more people than I would have if I had my druthers. I'd go hermit up on the mesa if I had my druthers, but that's probably not what I'm here to do. I don't know. So, Lily, where do you think this town is going? Where do you think the ghosts and the people are going?
Oh, I don't know. People ask me if I think that the town has changed. And since I moved here, of course, there's more people, of course. We're up to, around 500 now. And but when I moved here, there was a store that sold things for the tourist, and there was the mining museum, which was made for tourists to go through, and there was the bar, and now there are like studios that are for the tourist, and still the bar, and so basically the town has not really changed for me, and so I don't. I just see new people coming into Madrid with dreams that they've always dreamed of, maybe opening a shop or something like that, and they find that they can do that here, and so they open a shop. It doesn't mean that they're going to make any money or anything like that, but they've been able to fulfill that dream. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that have done that, fulfilled their dream, and then gone on to find out what their next dream is, which either includes us or doesn't include us, The one thing that has always stayed the same here, for me, is the community. And when we were all young hippie families and stuff like that, we started having parades and for our children, and we had a school for our children called the Children's Workshop, and and we had the the ballpark, which we put a children's play area in, and then they could play baseball in the ballpark. So, and it's things that we still do here as a community in Madrid, So, and more young families move here and have their children, and so we still have to have the parades and the community things that we have. So, in a lot of ways, this seems to be the stream of the way it's going probably for a long time. So that's really basically what I see is things staying the same but changing a little when someone new with a new dream moves in. And
I hope that's the case, because I'm one of those people. It wasn't necessarily really my dream to open up a shop. I had that dream in 1994 when I originally came to New Mexico and stayed for a year and a half. And I walked down the street and I said, I could live here and open up a shop. And then I went back to Boston. And then I came back to New Mexico 10 years later. And then I got invited to go to Colorado. And then as I was getting told by Spirit I needed to leave Colorado, and I said, well, where do I go? New Mexico. You in New Mexico are friendly. And then I get here and I'm looking for land. And everything's going wrong as I look for land. And I go to my friend Jack and he says, oh, you're supposed to go to Madrid and put out a shingle as a spirit medium. And I go the next day to town, and this house is available. It's like,
oh wow!
I didn't plan it though. You know, I just had the thought in 1994. I could live here. I could do this. But it wasn't like it was a dream I had when I was much younger, and then it happened, and it wasn't planned. So, but I like that when I got here, I looked out and I saw all these highly sensitive people walking down the street. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And I hope that there are places in the world like this where highly sensitive people can go and be good together. And I hope that this town stays this way so that highly sensitive people like me or, you know, whoever's walking down the street, it's okay. You're all right. You know, you're going to be fine.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that's what I really like about living here also, is that it seems to be like a slowing down of your life, you know, and in order to give you time to figure out who you really are. And I've always found that a good one when someone moves into town and is going to, you know, looks like they're going to stay a while. I just basically watch them and watch how they change in their demeanor and their and what they thought life was going to be like, and then it's like you're different, totally different, unplanned.
Right.
And how do you handle that?
Yeah. What do you, I mean, but it's wonderful, and it's wonderful that there aren't so many people, and they're not, that you do know everybody, you do get a sense of people, you have time to see what's going on with people. And, you know, even if you're not necessarily talking to them, at least in my case, I notice when I sit on my porch, you know, that's going on with them. So I do like it here. Lily, you also write and tell stories. And did you do that before you lived here? Or
not really. I too have totally become someone I never thought I would be. I started out in life as an actress and started acting in there's a little town not too far away from us called Cerrillos, and Cerrillos had a melodrama, and I was in the melodrama for about 2 years and acting, and then I came up to Madrid, and we have a theater here in Madrid, so I was in the melodrama there. And while I was in the melodrama, I became single and had to go through that emotional change and everything, and started writing poetry, and really enjoyed writing poetry. And then I started writing songs that I sing a cappella, and so that's what I started doing. And then I started entering the poetry contests. You've seen those where they offer you $10,000
I had a boyfriend who did those. I don't bother with those, but I had a boyfriend who did. I helped him edit a poem for one of those, and I was like, "Good for you, go." I'm not doing that, So
Yeah, that's right. So I've been doing that for many years, and being published in their little books. Which kind of made me published in the anthologies. And so this year, 2017, in one of those contests that I entered, I became part of their Who's Who in Poetry. So I am waiting for the anthology book with my poem, Who's Who Poetry.
Wonderful, and Lily's poetry is wonderful. I've gotten to hear it at our Glass Eye Poets Society in her songs, some of her songs. So,
oh, thank you. Well, if anyone wants to look me up, they can Google me on, or I'm on YouTube, Lilly Whiteswan.
And you are on YouTube, yes. And do you do any distance healings, or do you just work in person? If somebody would like to work with you.
Oh, I do distant healing.
Okay. And how would they contact you? Lily, just look up Lilly Whiteswan, or look at what's the best
or
way?
Lilly Whiteswan at yahoo.com.
Yahoo.com. Okay.
That's a good way.
I have to tell you, I've never heard of another healer where you have just people I would meet. They'd say, "Oh, yeah, I'll go to Lily. She'll take care of that." And it could be something fairly serious, and they'll just go, "Yeah, I'll go to Lily. She'll take care of it." "Oh, yeah, I had this." And it's something serious. You listen, you're like, "Oh, how did you get over that?" "I went to Lily." So I've never been in that situation before with just people randomly going, "Oh, yeah, Lily took care of it."
Oh, far out. Yeah.
It's like, okay. I'll have to meet her someday.
Oh, well, far out.
Yeah. So do look her up, because I think that she is known locally, at least, as a miracle worker, and I'm suspecting that that's really the case. Though I haven't been to you for anything yet, so.
Well, I always say when people are tired of being in pain, they'll come and see me.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you seen any ghosts recently? We have a few more minutes. Have you seen any ghosts recently in town that you know about?
Well, I really haven't seen anyone. When you were talking about Yo and who had passed away and you had seen him, I see most of the people of my friends that, and in Madrid we've had quite a few since Thanksgiving. And so most of the time they they're all my friends, so they come and tell me goodbye and or how they're doing or whatever, And like Michael came to me, he said, "I'm just getting used to this flying thing."
Well, he was floating above me when I was in the bathroom. He was
I'm
like looking up, and he's floating, and I'm like, Michael, And he's like, "No, and he just continues on talking, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, so that's what's been happening with me lately. It's a real hard on me to have them come because, when a person dies, basically the last thing they remember is what it was that was wrong with them. They, so if they have had like a heart attack, well, then they come back and all of a sudden I start feeling like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And I can go through, a few minutes until I realize that that's not me, and try and figure out who it is that's around me, or I just start talking and then I kind of figure out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people, before they die, come to see me too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I say, well, I will find out who this is, you know, in a few days or whatever.
Right.
So that's more than anything, that's what I've been doing, is clearing the space for my friends to do what they want to do. I don't know if you noticed that they, come as crows,
Yes.
ravens, back to visit us, you know,
Yes.
which is really wonderful. When Yo became a raven, he came and sat by my door, my house door, and just talked forever, which is something you do anyway. But, you know, I'm like, okay, Yo, good to see you, you know. And so that's always been a interesting one to watch my friends fly by as ravens.
Wonderful. Lily, thank you so much for speaking with us today about the ghost in Madrid, New Mexico. And if you want to contact Lily for healing, again, your email is
Lilly Whiteswan at yahoo.com.
And it's 2 L's, Lily with 2 L's, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
At Whiteswan.
Yes. And so if you're sick of being in pain, all you got to do is give this lady give her a message on your email and hook up with her. I can tell you she's a local miracle worker. I bet she's better than local miracle worker. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, my darling.
I'm so looking forward to seeing you around.
Oh, yes.
Giving
okay.
I'll see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for listening, public. And just everybody stay happy.
Okay, we will. We're going to break.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, space travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from Your Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Elizabeth Anglin and SOR.
All our toys, they let us think that we're big boys. They let us make a lot of noise, but we ain't rule the world. They let us think we're Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, 'cause women
And we are back with Paul Simons, who's going to talk about clearing space, and not a moment too soon, because he was listening to the first hour of the show with Lilly Whiteswan. He said, "Oh, do you want to work on that bar?" And all of a sudden, two of the folks from the bar walk in, and they're like, "Oh, no, you don't." And I'm like, "Well, I think we better, because now you're going to be after me, because we talked about it. We talked about clearing the bar in the first hour of the show. So guess what? It's on now. It's on, baddies." This is Elizabeth Anglin, your host. I am here tonight coming you from Madrid, New Mexico, in the Cosmic Cruise Mobile on Spaced Out Radio. I want to give thanks to everybody listening in from around North America and the world. Everyone at WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, at spacedoutradio.com on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, and on the Fringe.fm. I also want to give thanks to our guitar god, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy, for creating our music for Spaced Out Radio. He makes the music that helps us rock, and we love him for that. Thank you so much, Ron. Also, if you are on Twitter, you can check us out at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin, or just get on Facebook and look for the Elizabeth Anglin in the cowboy hat. That's me. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and also check us out on TuneIn and iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, the website is spacedoutradio.com. If you go to patreon.com, we have cool offers for you, our listeners there. Make sure you check them out. If you want to take part in the show, and this is going to be an audience participation bit, we're going to talk a little bit about clearing space. We're probably going to clear the bar pretty soon, so that the guys who are looking at me saying, "Oh yeah, you think you're going to clear the bar?" get out of the way. But if you want to take part in the show, you'll have to sign into one of the chat rooms on Spreaker at spacedoutradio.com or on the SOR Space Travelers Club. I will try to do my best to monitor the chat room. If you have a question or you have something that you want checked out to see if something needs to be cleared, your car, your house, your office, your church. We've got a weird thing going on here with the church in Madrid. Let us know. Type your question in all caps. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the Skype version that allows people to call in. I tried to download it. It did not work for me. I'm still working on that with my resident tech helper, Christopher Fisher. Thank you, Christopher. We're going to get this done, if not tonight, very, very soon. So, I want to welcome back from a community of healers, spiritual healers, and spiritualist, Paul Simons. Paul, thank you for coming back and being on with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Let's clear the bar. What I want to do to start is to cross the spirits that are at the bar, and once they're crossed, I want to clear the entities, the cords, attachments, implants, hooks at the bar, so the bar is completely clear 100%. So the first thing I'm going to do is put an orb around the bar, including the parking lot, the whole property, and I'm going to now ask the Ascended Masters I work with regularly, which is over 200, to come into this orb, and we're going to now escort all of the people, all of the spirits that have not crossed to the other side. We're going to cross them to the other side right now.
And we're feeling energy move as that happens. And that's the dead air. It's just waiting for that energy to move, because it's quite a few, right?
Let's see. I'm just going to take count of them. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 53 beings are being crossed. So
that's quite a few. That is a lot.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting till they're all crossed.
Before going on. So
Okay, we're ready now. so now the second part is we're going to put the bar in the parking lot again in an orb, and we're going to put an orb above, below, to the left, to the right, in front, and behind. And I'm going to take all the Ascended Masters I work with up through the Galactic Core, Central Sun, Secret Sun, Platinum Sun, and down into the orb. Any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, including echoes, residuals, energetic tattoos that could bring back cords, attachments, implants, hooks, in this bar, in the dirt, under the bar, over the bar, are being escorted out and sent to the Central Sun by the Ascended Masters, and we're clearing them right now. Can you see them going?
I can, but I have a question for you. Could there be cords, attachments, and hooks in all the people that have been in the bar and all the locals that frequent the bar as well?
There are, but everyone in the bar just had their cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, and thought forms cleared right now.
Okay.
It's not to say that somebody that comes in half an hour, or someone who wasn't there tonight that comes in tomorrow isn't going to bring more attachments into the bar. But at this moment, at this exact minute, there are no cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms at that bar.
Okay.
Good.
Good. Yeah, I feel. I actually there was a hook in me in my solar plexus, and it's moving around. So it's like, ooh, yeah, they got me. They had a hook in my solar plexus. So, and that's
okay. Well, I'm gonna clear that. I'm gonna clear that out. Do you feel it leaving?
I do. Yeah, that's leaving, and that's a good thing.
Now, when you discussed the bar with Lily in the first hour, you needed to be protected because just talking about it would draw those spirits to you. Unless you're protected and energetically cannot be attached to, they'll try to attach to you. And I think that's what they were starting to do.
Yeah, because they weren't very close. They were across the room, but I could see them up and across the way. And it was like, oh, no, you don't. That's enough. So I'm glad that we did that. Do we have to do more work on this bar?
No, but the bar, by its nature, encourages people to drink alcohol, which brings in lower vibrational attachments. And as long as the bar is operating and serving alcohol, people will be bringing lower vibrational attachments. So it's like a ongoing issue that alcohol creates, and the bar isn't going anywhere. No. So there will be an ongoing group of people that are getting infected with attachments, and you almost need to periodically clean it. It's like a street sweeper cleaning the street and the gutter every week or every month because it gets dirty. You need to clean the bar of the attachments periodically because it gets more. As soon as you clean it, and another day comes, more people come in and start drinking and getting attachments. So you need to do it on a regular basis if you want to keep the level down.
Right. And but what's interesting is that I don't know that this bar has been cleared since, even 10, 15, 20 years ago. There was a period of time when, this town there were gunshots every day. There, like Lily was saying, that there were people around who were 10 times as bad as Derby Jim, who I thought was very gentle, but somebody said, oh no, he was a bad dude, but he felt very, okay to me. But she's like, there were people who were much worse, and those people were hanging in the bar. So those people had been there, and their energy had been there for quite some time. So at least we have now a new starting point with which to go forward. So that's a good thing.
One thing we can do is, and I need to just explain this for the listeners because they may not be familiar with this, is most people think that all space is equal and everything is the same. And if you're at a building and you're in a waiting room, or you're in a conference room, or you're at a train station, or you're at a restaurant, all the space is the same, but it isn't. There are some spaces that are traumatized, some spaces that are positive, some places are neutral. And what I do is I clear traumatized spaces or spaces that have negative energy or negative charges. And if, for example, if you had a shooting and somebody got shot to death on the corner, a street corner, there would be a trauma at that place where the person died or they got shot. And if you don't clear it, every time someone walks through that space, it feels cold, it feels uncomfortable, they get nervous, scared, anxiety, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of places in your town that there were shootings, that there were knifings, that there were killings, and people were injured that have never been cleared. So we could clear the whole town of that trauma, and it would just send it out, and then the town would be more relaxed, because the town is like somebody that has 600 Band-Aids on their body that they've been cut all over, and they've got all these things. It's like kind of wounded because there was so much violence in your town.
Right, and even from the days of the Indian revolt, yes. So yeah, we should do the whole town. But before we do that, I want to hear. You told me the story about your friend. I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing it, but he went to a hospital that had been a jail. And you talked about that energy and clearing that energy of that jail. So it makes a difference. Clearing space can be helpful if you know that something was something that has wounded energy or has energy.
I can explain about it, but I want to keep my friend's name anonymous. So I'm just gonna call him my friend, and I'll just explain. He needed to have a knee replacement surgery, and he went to the Salt Lake City Regional Hospital in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that happens to be located where the county jail used to be 100 years ago, or 150 years ago, for a long time, and it was a very rough place, and they sent people to the mines where they died, and there was a lot of violence and a lot of negativity. And this hospital, the Salt Lake City Regional Hospital, has like one of the highest mortality rates around in terms of people that go there and die, that don't make it. And my friend was going to have a knee replacement surgery, and I knew that this was a dangerous hospital, not because of his operation per se, but because of the spirits that were still there from the jail. So what I did is I cleared the hospital first, then I cleared the operating room, and then I cleared the operating team, the personnel, the nurses, the doctors, the anesthesiologist, the surgeon, and I cleared his room subsequently after he came out of recovery, and he didn't have any problems, and he went home intact, and subsequently he came back and had another knee replacement, and I did the same thing. But a lot of people that were healthy had like freaky complications and just died or didn't make it. And it's a dangerous place because you wouldn't typically want to put a hospital on top of a jail, or what was a jail, or you'd want to really clear the jail before you open the hospital, but they hadn't done that. So that's a real important thing to look at when you go to a hospital. Try to find out what was on the dirt where that hospital is before, if you can. What was there 200 years ago? What's the history of that area? Because some hospitals are safer to go to than others, and not everyone has anyone clearing the energy when they're going to the hospital. So you can go to a hospital that's very dangerous or a hospital that's safer.
Right. There's a woman that James had on the show who worked with angels, and she ended up with cancer, but she ended up having the angels work with her doctors. while she was being healed. And at first, there was some resistance, but then, she would just work with the angels to break through the resistance. And all of her things went very, very well. Is that something that you do, work with angels, or is it just like the 200 ascended masters, or how would you go about that?
Well, I work with angels and archangels, different ascended masters, and I would consider Archangel Michael, for example, an ascended master, but he's an archangel, but he's a master at the same time too. Okay. So the semantics of it doesn't really matter, but I can give you another example of clearing the space. It just so happened my wife had a 2-hour surgery yesterday, and in Brazil, and I cleared the hospital, I cleared the surgeon, the surgical team, the operating room, and she had the surgery. It was 2 hours, and then I went to see her in the afternoon after she got out of recovery, and she had no pain whatsoever, and it was a surgery with a scalpel and internal surgery, and you should typically have a lot of pain, and you should have pain shooting down one of the legs according to the surgeon. She had absolutely no pain yesterday and was discharged today, and the doctor was like a little bit perplexed why she didn't have pain, because every other patient he worked on did, but she didn't. And it had to do with the ascended masters working with the doctor and working through the doctor, that she has absolutely no pain. And she was actually at Sam's Club and shopping for groceries today, the day after the surgery. This was a 2-hour surgery on Saturday morning, and she's shopping Sunday
afternoon. So, yeah, that's amazing. And her picture, you showed me her picture, and she looked awesome. She after the surgery, she looked awesome. So, wow, very cool.
I don't claim to know exactly what the ascended masters do necessarily, because they do the work. I'm just a facilitator. I'm directing them and I'm invoking them, but they're doing the work. And I just know that they help to have the best possible outcome. And I always ask for the best possible outcome, because I don't always know the process or what is the best possible outcome, but I ask for it and have had great results. No one's died, and people have come through in better shape, and operations have been quicker. So it does work to clear spaces. Most people don't realize that not all spaces are equal.
Right. We have a question that's kind of related. Sandra says that she's been told, or her daughter was told, that she has archangel blood. Now, have you heard of anything like that? And if that were the case, what do you think it would mean for her daughter's role here or path here on Earth?
I'm getting that she has a connection with an archangel, but she doesn't have archangel blood per se. She has a spiritual connection and a energetic connection. There is an archangel around her. I'm just looking at who it is. It's Archangel Michael, and if she calls Archangel Michael, he'll come, and a lot of times he's just with her. But she's not Archangel Michael, but Archangel Michael is like her spirit guide, or is around her almost all the time.
Now, does this mean that she's going to be working on some path that would bring her into situations that archangels would deal with?
I can tell you this. She's a very advanced, evolved being who has done a lot of advanced spiritual work, but she's not 100% aware of it, and she's going to wake up, or she's going to start using her abilities and her gifts. She's what I would call a natural psychic that is very advanced, and when she does, Archangel Michael is going to be right there with her. working with her. And I don't know if her mother can see this, that she's that gifted, but she's an old soul. She's very advanced, and she's very intuitive, very empathic, very sensitive. And she's going to be waking up and doing very important work. And Archangel Michael is kind of guarding her, protecting her, keeping negative things from happening that could theoretically happen if she wasn't protected. But she's got a lot of important work to do. She's a above average person.
Okay. Really great. Thank you for the question, Sandra. Thank you, Paul, for answering it. We have another question. I don't want the chat room to roll too fast by. The guy asks, how do you create a space to block all foreign emotions? And I think Lily was talking about using the purple flame and the arroyo with the emotions of fear and anxiety. But Paul, how would you speak to clearing space of emotions or blocking foreign emotions for a person?
Well, when you want to clear outside energy, cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, or emotions from other people, what I do is I put the person in an orb, and I bring in a lot of light into the orb, and I move out all the things that are attached to the person. It's almost like giving a dog a flea bath or something. You're like getting all the stuff, the parasites, all the things attached to be cleared out. But the way I do it is with light. I bring in a lot of ascended masters, and I move out everything that's in that person's field that doesn't belong to them, and I send it into the sun where it gets incinerated and turned into pure white light. So I'm basically bringing energy into the person and moving out all the stuff that's attached to them, sort of like giving them a shower or a bath, or just giving them a flea treatment or something, just getting rid of everything that's hooked onto them, parasites.
I think the guy was sort of speaking more to a situation. I mean, that's a good thing to do, but I think he's speaking like for somebody who's very sensitive. For example, when I first started becoming very sensitive, become a Reiki master, and in the next year after, I could be walking down the street in Boston, and I would pick up on emotions of people who were about an eighth of a mile down the road. And then I'd get closer and closer to them, and if they were fighting, or if they were, there was some kind of stress or something was happening, I would just be feeling that as I got closer to them, and then as I passed them, I would go, okay, that's your stuff. So if somebody is walking around and they're pretty open, they're pretty sensitive, what do they do when they're coming across pockets of energy that aren't theirs, that are emotional?
Well, what I do is two things. I clear myself of cords, attachments, implants, hooks, other people's stuff, and then I put myself in an orb, and I protect that orb so that nothing can attach to me. And as I walk around, it's like nothing sticks. It's like I've got Teflon around. I've got an orb of Teflon, and I can be somewhere where there are people that are drunk or are drug addicts or are very, very out of sorts, and nothing enters into me because it all bounces. And most people are like an open house. All the doors open, all the windows open, and the flies, mosquitoes, and everything else just comes right through the house. And what this does is it keeps everything from coming in. And if you keep your house like sealed and locked, you don't have these problems. But most people don't know the techniques or do anything, so they're like an unlocked house with all the windows open and no screens, and they wonder why they've got mosquitoes and insects in the house. They're just wide open, but they can take measures so that they're not wide open. And I teach that. If people are interested, they can contact me, and it's not expensive, but it's huge help. A lot of people are sensitive, and they don't protect themselves, and they end up getting other people's stuff, and they don't know how to get rid of it.
Right. That's sort of, what I was doing is I was walking to the bar, was sort of putting on the mirrored orb before I walked into the bar instead of, saying, I'm not going to go to the bar. I put the mirrored orb up. And, but even emotions emotions can be as difficult for people, especially when people are feeling strong emotions. It doesn't have to be an entity per se. It could just be emotions that people have left around. Okay, we have some more questions are coming in really fast here. So we're going to... Kit Kat asked in the Spreaker chat room, now she's moving in June, and I think this is tangentially related. I think Kit Kat has felt that there has been stuff in her house or in her space, and she's wondering how moving from this place will affect her life, mostly her life of spirit. Can we check? I don't know if she knows where she's moving to. Kit Kat, can you tell us if you know where you're moving to? But was there anything in where she was living that really needed to be cleared out?
There is, or there was. I feel like there is something there that's traumatic, like someone died there, or there was some violence, or there was something that happened. It could have even been on the dirt before the house or the home was built, maybe 200 years ago or a long time ago. But there's something there that is very contentious, very uncomfortable. And I feel like she's sensitive and she picks up on it, and it makes her not want to be there.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Do you get any indication if this next place will be any better for her?
Let me look. Will the next place be better for Kit Kat? Yes, but it's the situation of you've got a house with the doors unlocked and open and the windows unlocked and opened without screens. She needs to do some protection work so she controls what comes in, and the space feels safe for her. And if she doesn't control it, it's not going to feel 100% safe. It'll be better than where she is now, but it will have problems if she doesn't know how to keep it clean and keep it secure.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kit Kat also has a job. I'm sorry I'm speaking for you, but she drives an Uber. Would her Uber pick up things from people?
Well, I've worked with people that drive cabs or drive Ubers, and you have to clear the cab every time you drop off a client or a fare, and before you pick up the next one, or you have the accumulated energy of multiple people in that cab, and that can get to be a bit much, especially if you do a lot of turns in a day, a lot of different fares. So she would benefit with that type of work and knowing how to do clearing work, so she can keep her taxi energetically clean, and then people that get in it will be much more comfortable as well, because it won't have any bad energy or unbalanced energy from other people.
Excellent. And would that increase her ability to make money?
Yes, because intuitively people will be attracted to her cab, even if they don't know why, or people will call up and she'll end up getting fares that want to have an Uber, and they end up in her cab because the energy's good. It'll end up actually making her more business and more money.
Excellent. Okay, another kind of off the cuff question. I don't know how I would answer this. This is from the preacher, Eric. And he asked, is Metatron really an archangel, or is that just a made-up name, Eric? Have you met Metatron?
He is an archangel, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where the name comes from, but the first time I heard it too, Eric, I was like, you're kidding me, right? An archangel named Metatron. He sounds like a transformer, but he is an archangel. What does he do? What's he supposedly very good at?
He's good at teleporting, and moving galaxies and kind of between worlds, sort of communication and transformation and teleporting.
And he's good at other things, though, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Doesn't he do, like... He's a master... Go ahead.
He has too large a portfolio to get into everything, but he supervises, or he's in charge of a lot of angels and a lot of entities and spirits, and he's what I would call like a grand master, or an archangel is a grand master. So he's got a huge portfolio.
Yeah. The things that make sense to me, Eric's follow-up was he had someone tell him that Metatron was his spirit guide or some such, or maybe guardian. And Eric does, he's does a lot of science. He does medical work and, biological sciences. And he does the nerdy show with me. And what I love about him is that he's able to transform. Like he's able to work things out on the fly in terms of finding the deeper meaning in a question or a situation. And that could be a Metatron type of thing, that it's sort of like working through it and coming up with a new solution or a new answer to an unsolved mystery. Eric is very good at coming up with theories that could possibly be right on. And I think that does sound like a Metatron thing. I don't think I was the one who told you Metatron was your guardian, but to me that seems very Metatronian to be able to do that. What do you think?
Well, I see Metatron kind of perched on his right shoulder, almost like a owl or an eagle. Just there, kind of guiding him, and I feel like Metatron comes in as different being, can look differently in different cases, and he's like just right there with him, and I feel like he is the spirit guide for Eric, even though he's an archangel. He's not really a spirit guide. Would be too diminish the capacity to really call Metatron, but he acts in that capacity among other things for Eric.
Okay, there you go, Eric. There's your answer. All right. Wyatt asks he wants to know if you see anything that needs to be cleared around him, or anything else he needs to attend to in his energy field.
Yeah, Wyatt, stop worrying. You've got all the stress, and tension in your crown chakra, and you're really okay, but you doubt things or you worry about things, and you continue to think about them and worry about them some more. It's like you're churning issues and working yourself into like a real frenzy, and you're really doing a good job. You're really in a better place than you give yourself credit for, and stop worrying. You're okay.
Yeah. Okay. Stop worrying. You are okay. Okay. Good answer. Andy, in Australia, in the Spreaker chat room, this is more of a psychic reading, but I'm curious about it because we've talked about it for a while, so I'd be happy for you to look at it. Andy saw a UFO blinking at him and appearing on like a starlight, but blinking and then going invisible. And it was after he went outside at night to ask if his ET family would show up. So, and then he saw this UFO blinking. He's wondering, was that the Arcturians, or who was that?
Okay, well, I got to tell him a few things. He did call that UFO, and the UFO came, but he has not completed what he came here to do. And they came, they looked at him, and then they left because he's not finished. And they were like, well, you're not done. We can't take you now. And they left. But he's very connected with them, and they are Arcturians, but he's got specific things that he's here to do, and he needs to focus on getting things done. And then when he calls them and he's done, they'll take him away with them in the ship. But he called them, it was like a false alarm. It's like he called them and they're like, well, you're not done. And they left.
Oh, okay. So they didn't recognize that they thought that he knew what he was doing, that he was calling for pickup, and he was just calling to see if they would answer.
Well, he did a pickup call, and when they got there, they did a quick analysis of he finished, and the answer was no, and they were like, no, you're not coming with us, and they left.
Okay. So there you go. You called. It's not time yet, and they left. And they were Arcturians, or did you get to see who they were, Paul?
They were Arcturians. It was an Arcturian ship.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Go. Next question. Go in the Spreaker chat room asked, and I have to tell you, Paul's already agreed to do this. She asked if you will clear the hospital and the utensils in the room and everything for Eric tomorrow. And I have the name of, and Eric has said this is okay. He is going to Forsyth Medical Center in Winston, North Carolina. We still don't know the doctor's name unless Eric tells us. But would you be willing to show people how, do that so people can know that's happening?
Well, I will do it, but the best thing for me to do is to do it a little bit later when it's closer to the time. Does he know what time he's going, or they haven't really told him yet?
He's checking in at 8 in the morning. So he'll be, and that's Eastern time. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do is for the procedure and for the operating room and the medical staff, the doctor, the nurses, the laboratory personnel, all the people involved, I'm going to put the hospital and the operating room and all the people in an orb, and I'm going to make 6 orbs that are identical, one above, below, to the left, to the right, in front, and behind, and then take the Ascended Masters that I work with up through the Galactic Core, Central Sun, Secret Sun, Platinum Sun, and down into the orb, and I'm clearing any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms out of the hospital, out of the operating room, out of the doctor, nurse, surgical team, laboratory technicians, everyone involved. And we're asking the Ascended Masters to clear any echoes, residuals, energetic tattoos that could bring back cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms. And we're going to send them at the count of 3 to the closest holographic duplicate. 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the Central Sun, and then we're going to I'm going to open up the 8th dimension where light becomes form, 13th dimension, the light of creation, merge those to make the light of manifestations, and I'm going to send the light of manifestation down into the operating room when Eric goes there. So this is like time delayed. It's going to happen when Eric actually is in that operating room, and we're asking all the Ascended Masters I work with for the best possible outcome for Eric tomorrow or today, Monday, when he's having his procedure in the hospital. And whatever the best possible outcome is, we're asking them to see that happens and to guide the doctor, guide the surgical team for the best possible outcome for Eric when he has his procedure on Monday.
Okay. So it's going to happen. Yeah.
It's going to happen, but it's going to happen and be less invasive, less painful, and more effective, and everything's going to be smooth, and it's going to be like picture perfect, the procedure.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, and that's what we're looking for. Thank you for that, Paul, because that's we're all concerned here at Spaced Out Radio. Eric is part of our family. He's part of our crew. He's a really great friend to have. And those of you who have Eric as a friend know that he's a great friend to have. So we need him to be here on Earth with us and doing this stuff because, it matters who's on your crew, and Eric is crew. Quick question from Sandra. She says that the last time she got cleared of a possession, she wonders if her house needs a clearing, or does she need a clearing again, or is everything okay now? And this is from Sandra.
Okay, first, does Sandra need a clearing right now? No. Does her house need a clearing? Yes. So I'm gonna do a quick house clearing for Sandra's house, and I don't need to know the address. I'm associating it with Sandra, so we'll go to her house. So we're making 6 holographic duplicates of Sandra's house, above, below, to the left, to the right, in front, and behind. And I'm taking the Ascended Masters I work with up through the Galactic Core, Central Sun, Secret Sun, Platinum Sun, and down into Sandra's house. Any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, seen or unseen, cloaked or uncloaked, even if they're changing frequencies and dimensions in matter, antimatter, and all alternate realities, including anything embedded in the fixtures, appliances, furniture, floor, walls, ceiling, lampshades, curtains, shades, doors, etc., are all being cleared, and we're asking the Ascended Masters to get everything out 100% at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the Central Sun. It feels like there was somebody that died in that house, that their energy was still traumatized, and there was like a room in the house that had bad energy, and that's been cleared.
All right, excellent. All right, I have a question for you, and this is related to Andy's question about the Arcturians that he called and then they left again. And he says, so that's why I only see them one time. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you only saw them one time, because you called them one time. But there is a situation with abductees. Now, Arcturians, or the Arcturians that Andy was talking about, my understanding is that they would not be there to abduct him. They're not abductors. Is that your understanding, Paul?
Yes. And the other thing is, he's here as a hybrid, as a half Arcturian, half human, to do something on behalf of the Arcturians on Earth. But he's like Arcturian himself, but he's like in a body, physically incarnated, and here to do a mission. And what he did was he got in place, and he's on his way or working on the mission, but he called them before he had completed the mission, and that was like a false alarm. It's like calling a fire in that doesn't exist, or they came a long way to get him, and he wasn't done. So they were kind of a little unhappy that he did that. It's like kind of not cool.
But he'll be all right. It's not like, eventually they'll go, oops, uh-oh. But
they'll just tell him don't do it again.
Yeah, don't do it again. Okay. But, okay, so my question is, for abductees, a lot of weird stuff seems to happen, and And I've always wondered, so this is really my thing. Like, abductees tend to kind of get crapified energy. And it could be because of physical pain. I've always wondered, is there some sort of split or something in the veil of reality that happens when people are being actively abducted, and there's physical pain involved, or there's loss of children involved, or something else that causes other entities or other beings to sort of glom onto them?
Well, when you're like put on a mission, like he was in Australia, and he's a hybrid, and he's an Arcturian, and it's already been done in advance, and he's got the DNA and everything. That's comfortable because it's like orchestrated seamlessly with very advanced beings. Essentially, ascended masters are like setting it up. When you take someone that's 100% human and you kidnap them, and then you start doing surgery on a ship, and then you dump them back on Earth, you're kind of shocking them and traumatizing them. That's a lot different than Andy agreeing to do a mission and coming in as a hybrid and everything being seamless to being like kidnapped and then having some kind of implant put in and being forced to do stuff perhaps that you didn't want to do. And that's what I've seen happen to a lot of people that have been abducted, that they didn't sign up for it. They were kind of like picked off, and it was done in a traumatic way. And it's a much different experience than someone that's coming like from Cirrus B or an Arcturian that is hybrid, that's coming to do a mission when you're abducted and an implant's put in, or you're multiply abducted.
Well, but I have sort of both situations going on, and I can tell you, my energy field got pretty overloaded when I was younger, and I became aware of my abductions. You know, I ended up manifesting chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, a lot of illness, depression, and that sort of thing. And it wasn't until I became a Reiki master that sort of began to slough off. But it didn't mean that I wasn't on a mission. You know, I was definitely on a mission. But yet, even though I'm from Sirius B and I'm on a mission and I'm a hybrid, apparently, we have no proof of any of that, but apparently, I still got pretty freaking gunky. So what would you say to people who are like me, who, you know, they're starting to become aware, or they're aware that they're being abducted, and they're also manifesting physical illnesses? And that.
I think in your case, you were not 100% awake when you were in your teens or in your 20s. You hadn't totally woken up, so you were doing some things that would be considered unsafe practices, or maybe doing things that were opening you up to certain things happening, and some of the stuff made you vulnerable to abductions. And I feel like you got picked off because you have a lot of light. They were attracted to you because of your Cirrus B energy and the light that you hold. But
no. I was my father was an abductee. I was an abductee in the womb, so I didn't get picked off from doing anything wrong. You can't do anything wrong when you're in the womb. So I'm gonna correct you there.
But you had a lot of light, and your father had a lot of light, and that made you target. And you weren't totally awake. So
right, no, not awake at all. Yeah, not because you're young and you're a kid and you only have the experience that you have, or a young adult, which is not really any sort of reasonable experience at that point.
So the fact that you're from Cirrus B or an Arcturian means that you're advanced in a lot of ways, but you also carry a lot of light, and it makes you like 1,000-watt light bulb amongst 75-watt light bulbs, so you become a bigger target. So you were part of the abduction issue was you didn't have the protection tools you need to keep yourself safe, and you maybe weren't aware that you were even a target, and things just happened, and then you learned things, and you started protecting yourself, and you did the Reiki, and you started balancing yourself, and some of those issues sloughed off later, but until you had the tools, you were like a sitting duck.
Yeah, absolutely a sitting duck, and I felt like everything, just every sort of crap magnetized into my space, and I got attacked by people who were possessed. They would presence their possessions, and they would attack me up until the time I learned, until I became a Reiki master. They would be attracted, and they would see me as open, for being attacked. It's terrible.
I get something. I don't know if you get this, but it's kind of funny. Because I carry a lot of light code, whenever I'm traveling or wherever I am, I get asked directions. When I was in Shenzhen, China, people were asking me directions, and I didn't speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
And when I was in Paris, I was asked direction. In Rome, in many different countries, I get asked directions, and I don't speak the language that well. And that's because I have a lot of light, and people come to you thinking that you'll be able to show them where they need to go. But sometimes it's awkward when you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
You ever have that happen?
Ever since I was a kid. That's why, when my dad told me, oh, don't talk about the aliens, you'll get, they'll put you in the loony bin. And I said, nobody's putting me in the loony bin. Everybody's always asking me what to do. I said, I'm the one that everybody looks to when there's something going on. What do we do now? And I'm like, they're not putting me in the loony bin. That just isn't going to happen. So, yeah, ever since I was little, that was like, I show up on the kindergarten playground, and every single kid is asking me for, what do I do now? What do I do now? So, yeah, I totally get that.
Well, one of the things that's really, really difficult is people don't know how to protect themselves and how to make themselves less vulnerable to attacks and to not absorb bad energy. And if people are interested, I have techniques that are tried and proven that I can teach them pretty quickly.
Okay.
But most people don't have any tools.
Okay, so we're going to get back. We're going to give you Paul's information on how to talk to him about that. We need to go to break, but we'll be right back after these messages, and we're going to give you Paul's contact information. Hang on for those.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on spacedoutradio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you're seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at spacedoutradio.com.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter, online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Elizabeth Anglin and SOR.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport. This is Elizabeth Anglin. I'm coming to you from the Spaced Out Radio Cosmic Cruisemobile in Madrid, New Mexico. I am so happy to have Paul Simons here with me tonight, but before we go back to talking about clearing and answering your questions from the chat, I want to thank everyone listening from WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, at spacedoutradio.com on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, and the Fringe.fm. Also, thank you, Ron Bumblefoot Doll, for making our music. We love you. If you're on Twitter, go to @spacedoutradio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. You can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin, or just look for Elizabeth Anglin with a cowboy hat on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and, generally find us on TuneIn, download our shows from iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. If you want to take part in the show tonight, you'll have to sign into one of our chat rooms on Spreaker at spacedoutradio.com or on the SOR Space Travelers Club. Now, if you do go to spacedoutradio.com, please check out the news section. There are a lot of new news stories there. Dave Scott's latest blog there is there as well, and there's some super cool videos from UFO seekers and the amazing Tim Doyle there, as well as other very great things like, if you've had an experience you can't explain, you can fill out an SOR Sightlines report. We have researchers who are ready to help you find out what's going on with your odd experience, and we are experienced ourselves, so we are, open-minded about such things. Again, we want to thank everyone listening on WQEE 99 Rock the Key, everybody on UPRN and on the Fringe.fm. Thank you for being here, everybody. So, in the next few days, Dave Scott's going to be back with Spaced Out Radio. He comes on 5 nights a week. On the weekend, Joe Roop will be back with Spaced Out Saturday. And I'll be back with Psychic Sunday next Sunday. I think Paul will be back on with me doing actual psychic readings. We are doing space clearing tonight, clearing spiritual space. But next Sunday, we'll be happy to do psychic readings on Psychic Sunday. So don't miss out. Come back next Sunday. Paul, if people want to contact you for private sessions, how do they do that?
It's the best way is to email me at paul@mediumpaul.com. That's paul@mediumpaul.com. And I'll get back to you within 24 hours. And I like to work with people to give them tools that they can use. I don't believe that anything I do other people can't learn. So if you want to learn how to protect yourself, how to clear yourself, how to clear your house, I'm happy to show you. I share what I know, and I think these are good tools that can help a lot of people. So please contact me if you're interested.
Excellent. So yes, do contact him. He's a good person to know, and he's a good person to learn from. Now we have, you have a thank you from Go Teresa in the Spreaker chat room. She says she wants to say hello to you and thank you for your last meeting. You were in California last month and you got to see Go Teresa, and she says thank you for her iron banded stone and lip moisturizer, and she appreciates you very much. So that's your message in Spreaker chat from Go. Did you have a good time in California?
I did, and it was nice. It was nice to meet Go Teresa. I don't usually meet most of my clients, and it's nice when you can actually meet them in person. I worked on several people for a few days in Los Angeles, and then I went back to Brazil, and it was nice to be in the States. I live in Brazil, and I kind of miss the States.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that Teresa got to see you. You guys got to meet. I got to meet Teresa in September, and it was pretty awesome, too, because, I talk on the radio, and I don't get to meet people, and it is wonderful to see you guys when I get to see you guys. That being said, one of our you guys is Dawn, in the Spreaker chat room, and she has a question about what the difference is, or if there's a difference between clearing and crossing a spirit over. Like at the bar, what if they don't want to go?
Well, you can cross them with a guide, and what I usually do is I have an ascended master escort them to the other side and work with them so that they have a being supporting them. It's not like you're slingshotting them to the other side and there's no one there for them, that they're being escorted and they're being supported when they get there. So it's a different experience.
Okay, so you're basically just calling in some extra help for them to help them, work out the transition that they haven't been willing to make for a bit.
Right. And yeah. Sometimes when people die like a sudden death, like a gunshot wound or violent death, an unnatural death, as some people would call it, they are confused and they're not really clear on what happened and what they're supposed to do, or they want to attack whoever hurt them, and they're just stuck and they don't know what to do. So they're just sitting there, or they don't even remember always why they're there. They forget, and they're just like lost. So when you send them, they may not know why they're going or where they're going, so they need to be escorted.
Yeah, we experienced that with my mother, who was hit by a truck and died almost immediately as soon as she hit the pavement. And she was an atheist, agnostic atheist, and she had no idea that she was on the other side. She just knew that the person who did her autopsy and was not releasing her from the hospital. And, I had friends who had agreed beforehand when she did cross to help her, and one of my friends showed up and she was so confused. He looked a bit like an ex-boyfriend of hers, and he showed up. His name was Steve, and he showed up and she said, "Eddie, what are you doing here?" Because Eddie was her ex-boyfriend. And I was like, oh gosh, I didn't even think about that the fact that they look alike would be confusing. But they worked it out. He had he sat with her and he was very patient, but she was such a non-believer that it wasn't part of her worldview. It wasn't easy for her and everything happened so quickly that she really needed a person. She needed something that she could relate to, and it actually kind of worked out that Steve looked like Eddie because he was immediately more relatable to her.
Well, when we cleared the bar, a little while ago in the beginning of the show, most of the people that were stuck were people that died at the bar, and they didn't really understand what happened, and that's why they were there. They didn't come there from somewhere else. They actually died there, and they were stuck because they were confused.
So, I've had the experience, and I don't know what you think about that, but there are times when spirits do cross over, and then they come back to some place that they were after they've crossed over. And I don't myself feel like it's, at that point important to cross them back over again, because they've already had their life review and they've just decided that they want to hang out where they were because they liked it there. What's your opinion about that?
Well, if they're a nuisance, if they're disturbing people, if they're creating like a problem for other people, I feel like they need assistance and they need help to get them back on their way so they can reincarnate and they can keep evolving. If they're just looking at things, or they're kind of observing but they're not causing any problems, I think it's fine. But when they're a nuisance, then I think it's okay to step in and help them to go back and continue on their way.
Okay. Now, what's the difference? And clearing is more, you may be clearing out ghosts or spirits that are nuisance by sending them to the other side, but there's also energy that requires clearing. So, and that is different when it's an emotional energy, or when it's an aggressive energy, or when it's something that's a thought form. That's different.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I was in Sedona, I got an old desk from the 1840s, and the bottom drawer had been in a really weird situation. A rattlesnake had been in that drawer, and the owner had opened the desk, that drawer, and had been bitten and died from that rattlesnake bite, and that whole desk was traumatized. And then the family killed the rattlesnake with the blunt end of an axe, and the rattlesnake was upset and still connected with that desk. And I got the desk in 2008, and it still had a rattlesnake energy from the 1840s in it, if you can believe that. From a long time ago, and I had to clear the rattlesnake out of the desk because it wasn't comfortable to be near that desk. It felt very traumatic, and I liked the desk. It was a beautiful antique, but it was very unnerving and very uncomfortable because somebody had died from something that happened with it, and then the snake had been killed, and the snake was upset and was stuck there, and the actual desk had a trauma attached to it. So that isn't a spirit, but that's trauma embedded in a fixture or in a piece of furniture. So you sometimes need to clear antiques or old furniture. It may sound strange, but they have a memory, and they hold trauma sometimes.
Well, that's interesting, because I had a ring that was my grandmother's, and it was actually her platinum wedding band. And one day it occurred to me, after I moved up to the mountain and got away from everybody else's energy, that the energy in that ring was not necessarily good for relationships, because she and my grandfather didn't have a good relationship. And so I ended up, my sister will kill me, I ended up having to get it cut off my finger, because I had put it on when I was 18 and I was 43, when I found it out. But do you think that ring had any influence on my relationships because I was wearing it and they hadn't had a good relationship?
Yes, you were getting the vibration of your grandmother, and it was actually creating some issues and problems that didn't have to happen with the relationships.
Do I still have any of that energy left in my field?
Let me look. No, but I wouldn't carry the ring in my pocket or in a pouch, or I would keep it far away, or I would actually sell it for scrap and get a new piece of jewelry that's not connected with that energy.
I have to look in my purse, because I think I put it in my purse and I actually don't know where it is. It might still be up at the ranch in Colorado, but at one point I had put it in my purse, and I think I had that exact same thought and took it out of my purse, and it may still be up at the ranch. Yeah, because it is family ring.
But people keep things that are traumatized. Like, let's say, this is a crazy example, but let's say somebody was killed and they were shot, and their clothes the day they were shot were given back to the family, and the family put the clothes back in the dresser in the person's room, and they're living in the house, and they've got the clothes the person wore when they got shot with all the trauma before they died, and they're in the next room. Can you imagine the energy in those clothes? So you're getting that trauma, and people don't realize that trauma gets absorbed by material items.
So just things, think clothes that you wear, material items. Well, I have a problem, I can't wear the same clothes 2 days in a row, usually, because they have the energy of the day before on them. and I'll really feel it. If I, even if I have a pair of jeans, it's not that bad, doesn't smell, and there's nothing really wrong with it. I'll put it on, and I just feel like I'm putting on the energy of the day before, like I'm not starting fresh. And I don't know if it's just me, but like I really highly suggest that you don't rewear things the next day that aren't clean. What do you think?
Well, I tend to change my clothes once a day, and sometimes twice a day if I go into town, because I don't want to have the clothes I wore in town when I'm back home, because they have the energy of in town. That I'm very, very sensitive, and some people would say it's crazy. I also take sometimes 2 showers a day, and I clear myself with water. So between the clothes and water, I'm trying to reset and get my energy clear from whatever's happened prior.
Right, and where you were. Yeah, it's exactly the same way. I did the 2 showers a day before I knew I was sensitive. Like, I would do that, and my parents thought I was nuts. They're like, you had a shower this morning, and I'm like, I know, I need another one. And it wasn't because I was in any way dirty or stinky or anything like that. I just felt like I needed a shower. And I'd been to school, and I'd been back, and, and been to all sorts of other places, and, I just needed a shower. Then it is a little bit hard when you live in a desert and you're trying to explain to your roommates, yeah, sorry, twice a day. But it does make a difference in how you feel if you're sensitive.
Now, down in Brazil, we take a shower and we take a pail of water with sea salt, because we don't have bathtubs down here. Mm-hmm. For the most part, we have showers, and we take a sea salt and water and we put it over our head, over your hair, over your back, over your chest, and you clear yourself with the water and sea salt. And it's the next best thing to jumping in the ocean, to clear yourself with salt water in an ocean. But I'm inland, not near an ocean, so I'll do that at least once a week to reset myself energetically with the water and sea salt. It's another type of clearing.
And now, if you do any energy work with people, do you subscribe to the idea of putting your fingertips in a bowl of sea salt and water in order to clear the energy between people? If you're doing healing work, do you ever do that, or do they ever do that down there?
We have a glass with water and sea salt in every room in the house to absorb negative energy, and when I'm doing work with people, I have a glass with water and sea salt, and when I'm finished with the work, I dump it and flush it down the toilet, and I put a new glass with water and sea salt for the next client.
Oh, wow. So this could be something that I could do for my shop too, like every day put in the shop, put a bowl of water and sea salt, in other places, and then at the end of the day.
What I tell people to do, if you've ever seen at a hotel, they'll have glasses with like a little lid on it or a cover on it. It could be like paper, it could be plastic, and you have to take the cover off the glass to use the glass. Mm-hmm. I sometimes pre-set glasses with sea salt in them, and when I'm finished with one, I remove it, and then I put water in the next glass. So I've got like a bunch of glasses lined up, and then if I've got like 6 appointments, I just go glass to glass to glass. It's like a assembly line.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
I use one glass per client.
Right. Very cool. So you just reset every single one and then throw it out. Very, very cool. That's a good way to go about it. All right, we have a question from the Spreaker chat room. And, this goes into my question I was talking to you about in the break. Sandra says her nephew Anthony said he didn't ask to be born here. And he knew that he didn't ask to be born here since he was a kid. What does he mean by that? Does he need to clear a past life, or is he attached to something in the past, or what does that look like?
He has some karma, some past life unresolved issues, and it's almost like he's been brought back to repeat 8th grade or something, and he doesn't want to do it, but he's got to because he didn't pass it. And he's like here, but he's like screaming and kicking or not happy that he's here. I hope that makes sense. It's like he's got to finish something up, and he didn't ask to do it, but it was like it was enforced. He has to do it.
Yeah. Well, I did the same thing, Sandra. I had it was funny in the 90s, as I was getting on my way down the path, I would always say to people, I don't know why I did this, how I got here now. And a friend of mine would say, yeah, you want to be on the teaching planet because you liked it there. And I'm like, the teaching planet? She goes, yeah, it's deserty, and, it sort of looks like Greece, and, but there, it kind of looks like New Mexico too, and it's the teaching planet, and you really, really liked it there. There's a lot of light. But you missed this one particular step on the rung of the ladder between the beginning and the teaching planet. So you're back on Earth. And I was just like, rasa, frasa, rasa, frasa, rasa, frasa. But do you see that, Paul? Because I have been very rasa, frasa-y in this lifetime.
Well, yes, but I also see that there's a lot of change going on, and you're kind of working in a guardian mode now. I know you didn't understand, you weren't awake when you were younger. You went through a lot of hard times, but you always were going to be helping during this transitional period right now. And I feel like you just got kicked around a lot before you woke up, but you were supposed to be here. You agreed to be here for this period of time because there's a lot of instability, and we needed like guardians, stable beings, enlightened beings to hold the space and to help people during the transition.
Okay. So it's not necessarily just that I missed this particular developmental stage and got sent back.
No. That isn't really the main reason. The main reason you're here isn't to correct something or to clear something that you missed. It's to help the planet consciousness and the hold the planetary grid, hold space, and to assist people. And you're doing that every day energetically for hundreds of thousands of people, in addition to your retail store and the people you touch individually. You're holding space energetically for lots of people that you may not even be aware of.
Oh my gosh, and it's a good thing I'm not. So let's talk about that. Excuse me for coughing. I was told, and I did want to get into this because this has to do with just how space is on our planet. My friend Dave in Spirit, who was an abductee and then went to the other side, he said to me that this planet is very difficult because it's held on to a lot of the energy from the world wars, from various conflicts where people killed and murdered each other en masse, and that we're sort of still dealing with that as we walk through the energy on this planet. What is your take on that, and what would you suggest that we do collectively in order to lighten and brighten that and remove that? Because couldn't that energy be sort of pulling us back into conflict and not really allowing us to move forward?
Well, I can give you a perspective on it that might be different than what you think. I've got some stones that are 3 billion years old. And if you looked at that as how many days and nights or how many moons and sunrises, it would be like over 1 trillion sunrises or 1 trillion moons. And these stones have been around when the dinosaurs walked the earth, and some of them were gizzard stones that were inside the dinosaurs. And they have the memory of all that for 1 trillion sunrises and 1 trillion moons. Now, these stones would have a tremendous amount of memory. Now, we're talking about World War II or World War I or the Revolutionary War, perhaps, in the U.S., but stones that are 1 trillion days or 1 trillion nights would have a whole lot more. And I clear the stones when I work with them because they could have been in a dinosaur as a gizzard stone when the dinosaur died painful death, and there could be trauma in the stone. So you really need to clear everything because you don't know how that space has been affected or how long that space has been around or what happened in the space. And it goes back a lot further than the World War II or World War I or the Revolutionary War. It goes back millions and billions of years in some cases.
Okay. So there could be energies that we don't even know about that have been collected into stones and the earth around us. We've never heard about it. We can't study back that far. That's really interesting. Okay, funny question from Dawn. You ready? Don't laugh.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you get sewer issues from flushing the negative energy water? Like, I don't think you have. Do you have sewers? We have septic tanks.
We have septic system. We have septic here. Can you get
septic system issues from flushing the negative water? No,
because you're releasing it, and it's going back down into the aquifers, and it's actually in starting the process of detoxing itself and eventually becoming potable water again.
Okay. And then Wyatt wants to know whereabouts do you live in Brazil?
I live in central Brazil, around Brasilia, which is the capital.
Okay. I just want to make a comment myself. It's not a question. A comment to Max, who says it took the Rockefellers about 70 years to force their slave schools on the entire country. Buddy, you need to read Upton Sinclair, because before there were slave schools, there were children working in slave jobs as child slave workers. And Upton Sinclair was a very spiritual person, and he actually hung out with Einstein, and he actually was really the person who started our public school system in the United States. It wasn't the Rockefellers. So go read Upton Sinclair and get educated and stop blaming the public school system on people who had less to do with it than people who were much more enlightened. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Sandra says about Anthony, she says, yes, I think he's fighting with himself. So that's interesting. Let's see. What else? Any other questions? You know, you told me a story about your sort of mentor in Spirit Yokonon clearing your town of, was it snakes? Did he make an agreement with the snakes?
Yes, he did to have the snakes not come into the village or into the town, to stay out in the fields and in the areas that weren't habitated by the people.
And do you know how he did this?
It was before I was here, but I believe he channeled the message to the snakes.
Okay. So he basically, I mean, is that something that's worth doing, is clearing space of, say, spiders or snakes? Is that something you can do?
It's something that I can do, or people can do, but a lot of times animals don't want to be around people. We've got a puma with baby cubs that's near our community right now, and pumas theoretically could be dangerous. They're large cats, but this puma is just stopped till the cubs get old enough so they can keep moving on, and it's not something that's threatening to the community, and we're not going to interfere or go after or do anything to that puma or move it with its cubs. We're just going to leave it alone. But you can oftentimes just let nature be, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, most animals really aren't out to get us. But we have a lot of rattlesnakes here in Madrid. And it is a concern for dog owners because every year we'll get a few dogs that get bitten by rattlesnakes. Is there a way that I might do something or might get together with people to ask the rattlesnakes to either be less aggressive or to move up the hill or out of the way?
I'm getting that the rattlesnakes look at it that the people have decided to move into their habitat, and they were here. They were here first, and if you want to be in our habitat, fine. But now that you're here, don't tell us to move because we were here first. That their attitude is like, we need to just get along, and if you're gonna have your dogs run over to us or try to attack us, we're going to defend ourselves. They don't seem like they want to move, is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened. I actually asked them when I moved in because I was afraid about Wyatt. I've not seen any rattlesnakes in my yard, but what do you get about my yard? Because I sometimes have to let Wyatt out in the backyard. What do you see? Are we clear? Are we in good stead with them, or do we need to do anything?
Are you clear? No. Is Wyatt in any danger of being bitten? No. Do the snakes want to deal with Wyatt? No. If Wyatt's coming out, are the snakes going to be around? No. It's like the snakes know that Wyatt is there, and when Wyatt's about to go out, the snakes go underground. Like they don't want to be out when Wyatt's out.
And he's telegraphed it, like we've telegraphed it to say, hey, Wyatt's coming out. Because that was the only thing I could think of when we moved in was to say...
They're synchronized with Wyatt. They know what he's doing. They know when he's coming out, and they don't want to interact. They don't want to be out when he's out. Mm-hmm. And then when he goes in, they come out.
Okay, and they can hear him, and they can get a sense of him, and and he's a very gentle dog. It's not, he wouldn't chase them. He wouldn't chase a snake.
They know that he is not a predator for them, and they don't feel intimidated by him, but they don't want to interact with him. They want to go out and do their business and then go back to their nest or get undercover when he's coming out. So there's sort of like an agreement between them and him.
Okay, good deal. Okay, question from the Spreaker chat room. This is from Greg. You had identified in Greg before that he had a holographic implant. He said you said it was ET. Or he's asking, I don't know if you said it was ET. I'm sort of combining two questions here. So the verbatim question is, can you ask Paul who put my holographic implant in? Was it ET? If so, which kind? Thanks.
I'm getting that it was gray.
Okay.
And that's the type. And it was more like to manipulate him, and it wasn't positive. I feel like it inconvenienced him, and it was uncomfortable.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And I'm sure we'll have a follow-up question about that. Let's see. Anybody else have a question? They're talking about your rocks in the chat room that you showed to Gogo, the old rocks that you brought to, I guess you took the stones from the dinosaurs?
Yes, yes.
That was what they were, and you talked about that.
Well, some of them were from the dinosaurs. Some of them were. There was a comet strike in Wyoming, and the whole mountain range got hit by a big comet, and the stones partially melted. And then later on, about 300 to 500 million years ago, the big brontosaurus dinosaurs would eat these stones and use them to break up the leaves and the grains and the vegetarian foods that they ate. So that a lot of these stones had been in brontosaurus dinosaurs for maybe over 100 million years, so that they could have been in several thousand brontosauruses, and they have dinosaur energy. If you hold them, you really connect with dinosaurs.
So Eric, the preacher, says gastroliths. I can't do it. THs. Gastroliths is the question. So is that what they're called?
The nickname is gizzard stones. I don't know what the medical name is, but gizzard stones. It's like the stones that chickens have to break up grains when they eat grains.
Mm-hmm.
But Brontosaurus is 30 tons, 60,000 pounds. So their stones would be bigger than a chicken's.
Okay. All right. So, we have a question from Christopher. He says he learned he has an ancestral block. Is there any way he can clear it?
Yes, I do cellular DNA clearing of past lives, ancestral blocks, and current life trauma, and it can be cleared.
Okay.
All of it can be cleared.
All of it can be cleared. And we talked about that, when you were clearing the guys out of the bar. They seemed to be attached to a place where I had a past life trauma, and so we did some clearing of that. Because in my most recent life, I was killed in Korea, and I had been shot in the back of the head and shot in the stomach, on the left side of the stomach, just over the solar plexus, and they had attached to my solar plexus, and I still had some of that energy. So Paul actually did some clearing on my past life trauma while we were in the break, because I was feeling it. That past life trauma, that most recent death experience, had caused me problems before. About 10 years earlier than this, I went to do a psychic fair, and right next to our room there were a group of veterans from Korea who were in the same battalion that I was in, and they were having a get-together, and there weren't a lot of them left, but they were having, a get-together, and I had been shot in the back of the head on the left side and in the stomach, and I didn't remember it yet at that point, but I felt like their energy was making me sick. Well, it wasn't their energy, it was that they had triggered my past life death trauma. And so it made me just as sick as if I were being attacked by something. But the only thing it was that, these were people that, some of them I might have known at some point in time when I was in Korea. And they triggered that trauma in me.
I have an example that's a little different, but it's similar. My father was taken away during the Spanish Inquisition by soldiers that came on horseback, and he was violently allergic to horses. And if we went to a football game and they'd put down horse manure the week before, he would get hives in his throat and on his arms, and he would have to take really strong antihistamines, and he might even have to leave, like he couldn't even be there. And he would always know if there was a horse within a mile, because he had the trauma from the Spanish Inquisition and being taken away by soldiers. And this was in a life in like the 1960s, 1970s, a long time after the Spanish Inquisition, but it still was active.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Eric Markham, the preacher, and maybe you can look at this. I don't know if you looked at this before. So we went and we saw Joe Monk in California on our way back from the Paracon in September up in north of Seattle. And we went to the Holbrook Hotel, which is haunted. And, Eric's a really good medium. He's a scientist, so he's not sure he's a medium. But he actually thinks he was killed in the Holbrook Hotel in his past life, and that his gold was taken. Was he actually killed in the Holbrook Hotel, or was he just really, really empathizing with the guy who was?
He was killed.
Okay. So it was Eric.
And it was on the 3rd floor.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I don't remember if we were on the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor, but there's a basement. So was it, I think we were, Eric, you'll have to remind me if we were on the 2nd or the 3rd floor.
I'm getting room 303.
Okay.
Was the room, but they may have changed the room numbers since then, because it was a while ago when it happened.
Or changed how they did it. When I was there with him, and maybe you can look at it, I had dreams before I got, long before I ever got there, of living with my mother in a hotel room. And we got there, and I remembered the dreams that I had had before. It wasn't a deja vu. It was like a very lucid dream that I had, I think a year before, or more than a year before. And so Eric and I basically both freaked out in this hotel hallway. I freaked out because all of a sudden I remembered these dreams I had of living in the hotel room with my mother, and he freaked out because he felt like he was the guy who got killed. So he says we were on the 2nd floor.
He was the guy that got killed.
Yeah. And he says we were on the 2nd floor from the ground floor, but 3rd from the lower level. So it was the 3rd floor. Okay. But
what room was he in?
He does. Eric, we didn't actually look at we didn't go down the hallway that he feels he was killed in. We both looked down the hallway, and we looked at each other, and I was standing beside the room that I felt I had lived in, and he was looking down the hallway that he felt he got killed in, and we both said, we gotta go. we were like, we have to leave now. And we like literally left that floor.
I can tell you from the orientation, if you're looking in front of the hotel, it was on the right side of the 3rd floor.
Yes. That's exactly where it was.
Area. That's where it was.
Yeah, it was the right. There was a hallway, like if you were looking at it, and you had walked in from the front, you would go to the right. First you'd go to the left, but then you'd go to the right, and so it would be the right side of the front. Like there was only one way up, and then there was a hallway, and you'd have to go to the right, and that was the hallway we were looking down. And my room was on the right, but it was in a different hallway, but it was on the right of the hallway. Like in the hallway we were in, it was on the right. So was that my room, or did some spirit just give me some information?
Eric's room where he checked in was room 303, but he never checked out in that life because he died.
Okay.
But he was in room 303.
Okay.
To the right.
What about me? What was going on with me there?
I'm seeing that you were like on the other side of the hall, like 303 was on one side and you were on the other side in the room with your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting that there were problems with this hotel, or it was not a very easy place to live because it was haunted even in those days. So you and your mother didn't really have a swell time there. It wasn't a great place to be.
There was a woman who was somewhat famous. Her name was Lily, I think. I think she was a Lily. Was I her? Because she had lived there with her mother.
Yes, but it looks like you were like you did some entertainment, or
Yeah.
I'm seeing you kind of like a stage actress.
Lola.
Or like
Yeah, Eric just reminded me of the name. Lola Montez was the name. And she was
okay, but it's like burlesque.
Yes.
You weren't doing like anything wrong, but it was kind of wild actress work.
Yes. That is apparently what Lola Montez did, but she was very famous for it. So
Well, she was at the top of her game, or she was really good at what she did.
yeah. Yeah, she was very good. Go ask if I stole Eric's gold.
Well, let me look just a second. No, but your mother did.
Oh, wow. So we've got karma. Well, my mother has karma with Eric. Huh. Wow.
Well, yeah, I guess she owes him the gold.
Okay, whoever that was, who was my mother. So here's who this is Lola Montez. I got sent the Wikipedia. She was born in February 1821 and she died in January of 1861. And her better-known stage name was Lola Montez. She was an Irish dancer and actress who became famous as a quote-unquote Spanish dancer, courtesan, and mistress of King Ludwig I of Bavaria. It's interesting because I've had a German boyfriend before. He made her Countess of Landsfeld, and she used her influence to institute liberal reforms. That sounds like me. I would do that. At the start of the revolutions of 1848 in the German states, she was forced to flee. She proceeded to the United States via Switzerland, France, and London, and returned to her work as an entertainer and lecturer. Her mother, Elizabeth Oliver, was a child of Charles Silver Oliver, who was the former High Sheriff of Cork. By the way, Anglicans are from Cork, and a member of Parliament in Kilmallock County, Limerick. And their residence was Castle Oliver. So her mother was obviously, liked to live in a certain way. And her mother was also a dancer and traveled the world. So what do you get? What do you get about that?
Well, I get that her mother had a lot of suitcases, first of all, that she traveled heavy. Like she had like 8 or 9 lockers or suitcases of stuff. She traveled with a lot of stuff.
Okay. Was her mother behind Eric getting shot?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Eric, my mother owes you, my mother, whoever that was last time, she owes you big time. Sorry about that, dude. Well, what's interesting is that Lola seduced Franz Liszt, and I, as a child, was so interested in classical music. I started playing Liszt music when I was 12 or 13, like trying to do the runs. They're exceedingly difficult. They're just, if you really have to have this incredible finger strength and agility, which I didn't have, but I still tried to do them. So that's really, really interesting to me because I was probably the only 12 or 13-year-old who was buying Franz Liszt pieces on their own without somebody telling him you have to do this. Anyway, cool.
Do you want to clear the hills around the bar before the show's over? There was something talked about earlier.
Yeah, because, okay, so one last clearing thing. I think Eric and I will figure out the Holbrook Hotel as we go along, if we have to clear any trauma from there. I think he does, because I think we both did. We literally ran away. But around here in Madrid, there are some things going on. Somebody has been attacked up in the hills, and somebody else in the astral saw 2 guys up there, 2 or 3 guys up there. And so we want to clear those guys. And I think we missed some of the people from the bar because they were up in the hills, it's the same relative hills behind the bar that the guys attacked the person.
Well, what I want to do is I want to put an orb around Madrid, under Madrid and over Madrid, and to go out 20 miles in all directions around Madrid. And we're going to now make 6 holographic duplicates of this orb, one above, below, to the left, to the right, in front, and behind. And I'm going to take the Ascended Masters I work with up through the Galactic Core, Central Sun, Secret Sun, Platinum Sun, and down into the orb. Any entities, cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, including any ghosts that are out and about and lost souls, we're going to ask the Ascended Masters to escort them to the other side, and this goes 20 miles outside of all directions of Madrid, and we're escorting them to the other side, and any entities, thought forms, cords, or attachments are going to be cleared by the Ascended Masters into the closest holographic duplicate at the count of 3, and this means all of them. 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the Central Sun. We just cleared all the ghosts in Madrid.
Wow. Wow. That actually, I'm feeling better. My lower back.
Does it feel? Does it feel different?
Yeah, it does. It feels very good here. So it's very cool.
The principle of doing this works if you're clearing one thing or you're clearing like a whole city or a whole state. So it can be done small or large, and once you learn the technique, you can do it for as large a space as you need, whatever that may be.
So you could do this as a practice for your state. You could do it, say, for your legislature. You could do it for your military. You can do it for almost anything, basically anything.
I've done it to clear negativity off the whole country.
Okay.
You can do it as large or as small as you need.
Okay. Very, very cool. Well, Paul, thank you so much. If people want to contact you for their own personal clearing, how do they get to you?
Just email me at paul@mediumpaul.com, and I'd love to work with anyone that needs clearings. And if you're in a financial pinch or you're in between jobs, I work on a sliding scale, and I never refuse to work with anyone. So don't feel awkward if you're not sure what it costs. Just contact me. We'll work something out. And that's paul@mediumpaul.com.
And I suggest that if you want to do some clearing work or learn how to protect yourself, he's a really good person to talk to about setting your own protective boundaries. Thanks so much, everybody in the chat room, for listening, and everybody who took part, everybody who is listening from around the world. WQEE 99 Rock the Key. Guess what? Dave is going to be back tomorrow night with a great show. He's going to be back all this week. Joe Roop will be in next Saturday with Spaced Out Saturday. I so appreciate my Spaced Out Radio family, and all of you. Be well, be free of stress, have an easy and productive and highly, highly abundant week ahead. I look forward to seeing you next week when we're back with Psychic Sunday. Take care, everybody.
answers. And you've been longing to be told.